It's 10:18. Things are moving a little better out there right now.
Let's find out how they are moving. We hope it's better. Angela Foster checking road conditions around the region. Angela, what's it like?
Well, you're right. It is moving a little bit better. We're starting to see more people joining the drive out there because things are clearing up on these major routes. But of course, in the neighborhoods, we're still looking at snow-covered roadways, and icy conditions are still in effect. Now, we're getting more activity, so that means more accidents as we look on our traffic land cameras. Making the trip right now on I-95 heading toward the Capitol Beltway. We do have a new crash to report near the Robinson Terminal for folks traveling southbound 495. That would be your outer loop lanes as you approach the Robinson Terminal. The good news with this one, we're not blocking, and as you can see in this stretch, traffic flow is relatively light. Over on I-95 at the Prince William Parkway, starting to see a little more activity on the northbound side, but still light volume. The good news for 95, though, we're incident free for the most part. On I-66, eastbound lanes picking up and moving quite nicely as you head into the Centerville interchanges. And for folks making the trip down in Brandywine, Maryland, this is a live look at 301 as you make your way to US 50. 50 itself still a little bit dicey. Getting reports of icy patches. Had an earlier crash also on 50 that just cleared for us for folks making that trip near 301. Let's move over to the maps where we are in Virginia. Traveling through Stafford right now. The crash is blocking 2 lanes on 17 northbound as you approach Warrington Road. Now that's a busy stretch for folks traveling in Stafford, but 95, as we mentioned earlier, remains in the green, which means we're looking pretty good in terms of what speeds are. 66 and the Dulles Toll Road, we're behaving, and no incidents to report on the Virginia side of the Beltway from 66 as you travel through Tyson's Corner heading over to the Legion Bridge. We're still with the crash cleanup for folks in Greenbelt. This has been a long-standing accident. We are closed on Kenilworth Avenue northbound between the Beltway and Ivy Lane. Also, that ramp from the outer loop to Kenilworth is blocked with the crash cleanup. And for folks who travel in Brookville, Maryland, that crash remains in place. 97 shut down in both directions at the Montgomery County and Howard County lines, so be alert for that and plan to travel around that. If we have time, I do want to quickly switch over to our Maryland cameras and show you what's happening on that side of the Capitol Beltway. New accident just called out to us. We're blocking the right lane if you're traveling on the inner loop southbound between the BW Parkway and Annapolis Road. The right lane as well as the right transition lane is blocked with that one as well. Well, as you can see, it's getting a little bit busy out here on the roadways, but if you can, please stay off the roads, delay your travel so crews can have time to treat the roadways. That's it from the traffic center. We're going to send it back over to you.
Good advice, Angela. Thank you so much for the update there. We know that the snow had a big impact on people with travel plans, people traveling by air.
Air travelers, that's right. And our Chris Pabst is live at Reagan National Airport this morning. Chris, hopefully you got some good news about flyers. Are they getting out now?
Oh, they absolutely are. The planes are flying. The terminal here is thinning out, except for the people back here trying to get a ticket to travel wherever they're happening to travel to, and things are normalizing here at Reagan National Airport. But that was not the case over the past day. 450 flights here were canceled. You take a look at this video right here, you can see about a few hundred people had to spend the night in the terminal. They could not get to hotels, could not get anywhere else, and of course with the weather, it was a pretty rough night for them. They were sleeping on these hard floors and just trying to find some power for their cell phone or their laptop, their mobile device, whatever it may be. It's a pretty rough night for a lot of people. But throughout the morning, we spoke to people here that are trying to get to California, Colorado. Spoke to one woman who lives in Rhode Island where she's got feet of snow on her property, trying to get down to Florida, got stuck here in the snow, and her flight got canceled. We also spoke to a woman who lives in Fredericksburg. It took her 5 hours to get to this airport this morning. She said it normally takes her about 1 hour. She got here, and of course her flight was canceled. She has to sit around all day now to wait for the next available flight so she can see family out west. But here's what she had to say.
It didn't seem like it was that much snow, but people just don't know how to drive, you know, and if you don't have the right kind of vehicle,
Now, we did speak to people from the airport, and they said that throughout the rest of the day, travelers can expect a little bit of issues as the airlines try to get the people who were here last night, those hundreds of people, to their destinations. Of course, they are going to have some priority there, but by early afternoon, perhaps mid-afternoon, the airport said that they hope to have all these flights back to normal, and then you wouldn't even know that this happened. Live in Reagan National, Chris Pabst, News Channel 8.
All right, Chris, thank you very much for the update there from the airport. Back now to our conversation with D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser. I want to talk about the incident on the yellow line that claimed one life and sent a bunch of people to the hospital. We had Northern Virginia Congressman Jerry Connolly here yesterday, and he was very critical of D.C. Fire's failure to take more full advantage of the special training that WMATA offers, the special tunnel rescue training that WMATA offers at their site in Landover. You served on the D.C. Council, and as I mentioned before, you did serve on the board that oversees Metro. Why haven't more fire rescue personnel taken that training over time?
Well, they should. I mean, I think that's just the bottom line, that we have to get more of our fire and rescue personnel through the Metro facility, but that's not to say that they're not trained in rescue and that they haven't been to that facility. One of our assistant chiefs testified before the Congress last Friday in front of the congressman and made it very clear that we had too few of our firefighters, we believe, go through the training last year, but they had gone through in previous years. So it's going to be up to us to make sure that they're on a regular training schedule. The thing is, when you have infrequent calls like they might have to go into a tunnel, we want to make sure that their skills are fresh. So not only are they going to Landover, but they're taking advantage of the regular training regime that we offer at our own facility.
That's good to hear.
Yes.
Now, the NTSB met last week with some regional leaders about their assessment. They talked specifically about those tunnel fans, and we were learning that the fans were working at cross purposes with each other. What was your reaction when you heard that?
Well, I mean, just like anybody, we're devastated that the equipment wasn't working the way that it should. The personnel who want to do the right thing didn't have the right information to do the right thing with. And we're learning even today that there's probably more software and equipment that can help make sure that we have the right evacuation materials. So I think what's good in all of this is that the NTSB will get to the bottom of it. We hope to have a report in the next couple of months. They've already issued emergency recommendations that will go into effect very soon to make our rail safer, and it's going to inform not only this incident but how the rail can be safer moving forward.
This is just one tunnel. It makes you think, well, what about the other tunnels and what's being done with all of them? Or do they have the same problem?
Well, I can tell you from a communications standpoint what was important to me, and I ordered our fire department to go from doing a monthly test of communications to doing a weekly test, because the bottom line is, for our first responders, and we're responsible, the people in Virginia are responsible for incident in Virginia, the same in Maryland, is that no matter what, we need our first responders to know what to do, and if things aren't optimal, they still need to know what to do, and so that's what the reason that I ordered a weekly test of radio communications, and we'll also revamp our training regime, so that no matter what we encounter when we go down into those tunnels, we'll know what to do. But I have to say that our folks went down into extremely adverse conditions and evacuated about 200 people, and we're devastated by the loss of life, but we know, but for their quick actions, it could have been a lot worse.
You've ordered that encryption of fire EMS radios be turned off.
Yes.
To what extent do you think that will improve communication going forward? Jack Evans mentioned that it's not just tunnels where gaps and difficulties seem to arise. He mentioned just high-rise buildings sometimes.
Yes.
The steel, the glass, whatever can cause.
Well, let me say this. We don't believe that encryption had anything to do with any response problems for this Metro incident. We will wait to see what the NTSB says, but we think it's actually the equipment that's in the tunnels that are supposed to repeat the signal throughout the tunnel. But what we also know is that an encryption, we couldn't come up with any real reason to have it. And in fact, if it causes confusion among our partners who in a big event may be called in to help us from the jurisdictions, then we don't need it. So we have the ability to encrypt if we must, but for regular events, we will not use encrypted channels.
What about for MPD radio communication? Well,
MPD is a different case because they're working incidents where if other criminals are listening, they could put officers in danger.
Well, we want to continue our conversation with you, Mayor Muriel Bowser, in just a minute, if you'll stand by. We're going to take a quick break right here.
Meteorologist Brian Vandergraaf standing by. He's got a live update on the forecast as our winter weather alert coverage continues. Keep it here on News Channel 8.